first through fourth grade. You can have up to 13 students. I happen to have 12. It's a lot, but they're lovely. I'm also a Special Olympics head coach. That's some of the crew at one of our Special Olympics events. And I'm the coordinator for the Illinois Alternate Assessment, which is the alternate to the ISAP for kids who need more of a modified test. And additionally, I'm a track and field coach. It has nothing to do with special ed. It's just something else I do at my school. And I'm currently getting my master's degree through the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. I'm in what they call the Access program, so it takes place in Chicago. So I'm in a cohort. It's mainly CPS teachers, which is really nice. I'm getting my master's in special ed. I'm getting my Learning Behavior Specialist 2 certificate. When you get your LBS 2, you have to specialize, so I'm specializing in teaching children with severe and multiple disabilities. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about autism today, mainly because it's a huge hot topic. I'm assuming most of us have met a child with autism within, some things that you guys have had to do with your clinical hours and all that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you might know a lot about it. So, if you do, hopefully you'll still learn more. But if you don't, I hope this will be a good snapshot for you. So, autism spectrum disorder, or what they call ASD, it's obviously just the acronym. It's a spectrum disorder. So what that means is it goes from high functioning, which some people would call Asperger's syndrome, all the way to what they might say is low functioning, and then everywhere in between. I have learned over my time teaching kids with autism that saying high functioning and low functioning is kind of difficult because, for instance, I have a student that's what someone might say off the bat, low functioning. He doesn't speak and he's in diapers, but he's brilliant. He can read and all this stuff. So it's like, well, he's low functioning in some areas, high functioning in others. So that's what they call splintered skills. Like they're great at something, but lower at something else, which just makes them a confusing type of child. You just really have to get to know them. So according to Autism Police, they say that it's characterized in varying degrees. The difficulties in social interaction, verbal and nonverbal communication, and the repetitive behaviors. Autism is 4 to 5 times more likely in boys than girls. My classroom's a perfect example. I have 12 kids and I have 1 girl. So the current stats are 1 in 54 boys and 1 in 252 girls. So that's huge. So even if you may think you don't know someone with autism, you do, because you probably know more than 54 people. It's a pervasive disorder, which means it's going to be there for the rest of their life. So though that there's therapies that they can do to improve their quality of life and help them develop skills they may not have at the moment, it's pervasive. They're always going to have autism. Right now, the causes are unknown. Some people think it's genetic. There's some families that have 4 or 5 kids and 3 of them have autism, and then there's families that have 4 or 5 kids and they have 1 child with autism. So that makes it, once again, it's really confusing, and they don't know. So they're doing tons and tons of research to try to find, specific things that pinpoint it, but right now the cause is still unknown. And like I had said before about the pervasiveness, there's a lot of therapies that kids get. In CPS, my students are offered speech, occupational therapy, if they qualify, as well as physical therapy if they qualify, and social work if they qualify. Outside of that, there's tons of other therapies that are sort of cutting edge, like play therapy, and they call DIR floor time therapy, and there's all these different things in between that that kids will do to try to, enhance social skills and things like that, and work on, a lot of it is working on communication just throughout areas of their life, so they're not just talking at school, and then when they're home with their siblings, they're not talking, trying to generalize things like that across their life. So what should you expect? As a teacher, you will have a child with autism in your class, just know that. It doesn't, maybe not your first year of teaching, but at some point you're going to have a kid with autism in your class. With 1 in 54 boys, it's going to happen. So, to be diagnosed, this is brand new. They recently just changed the qualifications for being autistic. When they're testing someone to see do you have autism or not on reading skills, this is brand new as of, I think, May. So, and this is a really good graphic about it. There's 2 little categories you have to fall into. You have to have social communication deficits and you have to have repetitive behaviors. And I'll kind of break down what all that means. Those 2 are given. So regardless, if you have a kid, they have autism, those 2 things are going to be true about them. After that, autism manifests itself totally different in everybody. If you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So, coming into my classroom, I just had this picture of a lot of kids not liking loud noises. And I have 1 kid out of 12 that really cares. So it sort of just depends. Like I said here, not the two core clinical features, like we talked about, are right here. The ones in the gray are associated neurological things, like a language problem. So maybe the child has difficulty communicating, the child has difficulty speaking at all, possibly. Seizures, one of my students has seizures. That's really common with autism. Aggression, self-injury, tantrums, hyperactivity. I mean, I see all of that in my kids, but in individual kids, it's not. One kid's probably not going to have all this. Sometimes you see intellectual disability, but sometimes you don't. So the kid could be typically functioning in terms of their intellect, but they have autism, so it's like they have all these barriers. Kind of got to break it down, get to know them, get to see what they need, you know. And here there's just a few over here that are in this like tan color, and that's associated physical symptoms. And they have GI disorders, so like a lot of them get super constipated, or the opposite. That's very true in my class. My kids have really sensitive stomachs. And immune dysfunction also. I get sick all the time. I currently have a cough. They're German kids, and a lot of it is because they're kids, but a lot of it is because some of them do have like, lower immune systems. So these are some characteristics you might see, but once again, not in every kid. You really just have to get to know each child. So the first piece is social challenges. So what does that mean? For the next few slides, on one side I'm kind of explaining it to you, and on this side it's sort of like how do we combat that. So for social challenges, they have trouble with facial expressions. Really get it when you you give them the look to try to get them to stop. Well, they're just going to keep doing it because they don't get it in the face. Like, oh, that means I should stop. You're giving me kind of a dirty look. They may not get that. Body language, same thing. It could mean little to them. Difficulty seeing others' point of view. Someone's mad at you, but they can't quite get in your shoes to see why. Difficulty making things about somebody else, and that's sort of like the same thing. It's all about me. Like, I'm mad, so you should stop everything you're doing to help me. A common challenge is regulating emotions. So things that we might think are little are not so little to them sometimes. You take something from them and it ends up being a 45-minute tantrum because they can't regulate the fact that it's like, okay, he already gave it back. It's not a big deal anymore. That regulation is really difficult for them. And self-interest behavior, I said, that can be a common challenge in the regulating of emotions. They're really upset. They might result to biting their hand, hitting themselves in the head. Something that we might think is a little crazy, but for them, they're trying to regulate their emotions, and this is the way that autism does that in their body. So ways that we combat that. Social skills training, so teaching them, and I kind of have it down here too, pre-teaching the expectations. You know that the kid hates loud noises. So you know that you're going to have a fire drill. Well, teaching them that ways to cope with that during the fire drill is probably not a good idea. They're going to be in crisis mode. It's not going to go well. So teaching them beforehand, I can get my noise canceling headphones. I can take a deep breath. I can walk slowly through I can walk quickly through the hallway with my teacher or my paraprofessional or my friend, and I'll soon be outside and it'll go away. I know the storm. I had a hunch that was going to happen.
While she's setting up, I forgot, did anyone want